This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bet with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. All right, D-Gens, welcome back to the Golf Gambling Podcast. I am your host, Steve Schirmer, joined along with Matt Gannon, filling in for Boston Capper once again. We're going to do our little memorial betting show tonight. We're going to go over the full card with outrights, positionals. Matt, how you doing? You ready to get this going?
Ready to get this going. We did the DFS show last night. It went really well. Similar vibe, but obviously DFS is different than betting, so we're going to have a little different ideas on some golfers, I'm sure. We're going to be on some similar guys, some different guys, but I'm ready to get to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the reasons why I like our DFS show is it's not necessarily just, planning what type of lineups I'm going to have, but like, I like looking at just everybody down the board, and it kind of starts to help plan, like, okay, maybe this is a guy I'm going to bet outright. This is like my top 20, top 40 tier. Maybe this is like a guy I want to fade and everything. But yeah, like, this is definitely my favorite show of the week. I love putting together betting cards. I spend way too much time on it. I heard on Tap and Birdie tonight, I was on that show, that you spend a lot of time on your betting card. You usually finalize right at the last minute. Was that the case this week? Did you go right down to the wire, finalizing who you bet?
Oh yeah, and we're not even final yet with the outright. So I'm gonna definitely throw some stuff off of you because I kind of have like two cards in mind where I'm gonna go, but hopefully by the end of this show I will have it narrowed down. But I have most of it set out, but it's kind of I'm gonna bounce some ideas off your head.
All right, great. Listen, I'm a walking encyclopedia for this stuff. So if you give me a question, I'll come up with some obscure fact or golf course comp that'll probably get you to buy into something. Hopefully it'll lead you to the right answer. But before we get to the memorial, so Golf Digest today, and we talked about this on the podcast I was with the Kirshner. They released the hole by hole video for Los Angeles Country Club, the site of the U.S. Open, in a couple weeks. And this has been a golf course I've been looking at for a couple months. I still am trying to figure out how I want to wrap my head around it because it's just a really wild piece of property. Not much is known about it. There is some stuff that you could potentially watch to get a scouting report. So, Matt, did you watch that video, or just, I guess, what do you know so far about LACC as we are 2 weeks before the third major?
Yeah, I did not see that Golf Digest video, but I did do some prior research on the course, and I just know that it's fairly penal off the tee if you miss wide, and then it's tight around the greens, like a lot of runoff stuff like that. Am I right about that? I didn't do too much research. That was just like a few weeks ago, so I'll definitely dive into it more. But am I in the right headspace for that?
You are. So I feel like with some of these fairways and how they're contoured and how firm they are, we might see a little bit of what happened in Chambers Bay, where the ball kind of just rolls in some crazy areas where you kind of have to plan tee to green strategically where you want to be on the correct side of the fairway. Now they're really wide and you might be able to find yourself in the fairway, but on one of the videos of the holes, like, there is a giant downslope that just goes way down to the right, and then you're hitting back uphill to an elevated green, carrying over a bunker. The green is also very shallow too, but the optimal place is, and it's tough. It's a tough tee shot to get to the proper level of the fairway, but that's the best angle to green. And sometimes we go to golf courses where angles don't really matter. I feel like Jeff Shackelford and Gil Hanse kind of put that back into this golf course a little bit, where you are going to have to be on the correct side of the fairway to get the best pin. These greens will be really firm too. One of the things you can actually do too, and you're a golf junkie. Do you have the U.S. Open app?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
I have all the major apps. I don't delete them.
Well, well, this is the Roku app. So it's actually called USGA On Demand, and they have like a full catalog of all the USGA videos and broadcasts. So like, you can go back and watch US Opens and anything you want. Well, they actually have the 2017 Walker Cup on FS1 when they were still doing golf, and that was at LACC. And that's actually a really entertaining watch because a lot of guys that we bet on now, like Zalatoris was on the team, Scheffler, Morikawa, Cam Champ was even on that team.
Oh, I'm definitely checking that out.
Maverick McNeely was on that team.
My guy, I love him.
Yeah, like a lot of really big names are on that team. And that's the best, I guess, starting point for me looking at this golf course, where you can actually see guys play at this place and kind of the challenges they're going to have. I think it's also important to watch that tournament too, because it's really difficult to get a good gauge of what the proximity buckets are going to be, because the greens or the fairways are really firm. So you're going to get some roll out there. You can't really predict exactly how much it's going to be. There's also a lot of elevation changes to the green too. So that's going to be really difficult to say, okay, this is a 502-yard par 4, but if you hit it dead straight down the middle, that ball might be rolling like 340, 350. You might only have about 150 yards into the green. Or if it's like 420 up the hill, you might have 175 based on where it is. So that's going to be really tough. But I'm looking forward to the U.S. Open coming up. Do you have any initial leans right now as far as maybe who you want to bet? Or is it still a little early in the process?
It's going to be, I know I'm betting Patrick Cantlay. I bet before the majors started, Patrick Cantlay's winning a major this year. We're 0-2, but we got 2 more left, and we know that the tee to green numbers are insane. They're not going to really change too much. I know it's 2 weeks away, but he's going to be on the card one way or another.
You know, that would drive my co-host insane. Probably give him another heart attack if Patrick Cantlay wins, because you have the hometown narrative, him going to UCLA, and then he went to LACC. He also used to have the course record there before Max Homa got the course record. That also would probably drive my co-host insane too. If everybody just bet Max Homa because he got the course record at LACC, of course he wins. So always wins in California, even though the grass types are completely different. But that's a different story. So, all right. So, well, in a couple of weeks, though, we will be talking about LACC and the U.S. Open. But before we do that, we'll start talking about the Memorial, and we'll take a quick ad break first, and then we'll start getting into what the good stuff is. Outright bets.
Let's get to it.
Yep, there you go. So, before we get to all the outright bets, let's talk about Edge Boost. And this episode is supported by Edge Boost. It's the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in betting advances, which can be an extremely valuable tool for you. You know, imagine what you can do with just an increased bankroll just available at the tip of your fingers. You know, get down some of your favorite futures without tying up your bankroll for months at a time. And that's especially useful in golf with, you know, you can bet on, you know, all the majors coming up. You can get some money now, bet a couple of those futures coming up. And the best part is, you know, they charge 0% interest too. And do you know of a way so you can access money to a place your favorite bets without paying any interest? I don't know. I don't have another place like that in mind. So support SGPN and grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. To sign up, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. You must be 21 or older to use. You got a problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Outright bets. And before we get to the outright bets, I'll ask you another question too. So, you know, it's an elevated event this week. You know, we've seen a lot of guys at the top of the board win. Lately, though, we've seen a little bit longer shots win, though. But usually these elevated events, it's been pretty much 50-1 or under. And, you know, it's kind of hard to choose at this point. Do you have a little bit of a different process trying to, you know, cipher and, like, you know, basically segregate out the different types of guys that of like a, you know, big pool of really talented players you want to bet, or you kind of just stick to your general process and maybe go by gut feel? I guess, like, what do you change your process at all when it comes to these elevated events, picking outrights?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that like this week. Obviously, Grillo won last week, and I still went with that same strategy. Okay, you got to bet these guys from the top, at least like the sub 20 range. But in the non-elevated events, we've seen guys, at least more long shots, even be in contention. Like even at Heritage, there were some more guys that were just had their names on a leaderboard. I know it came down to Cantlay, Spieth, Fitzpatrick, but there was just more guys like that had their names up there. So at an event like this, I think you got to go to the top of the board. So I think I'm going to stick with that strategy. But down the road, in these like non-elevated or even lesser events, like Canadian is a perfect example next week, I'm going to probably spread it down from like the 30 plus range. But here, I think I'm sticking with the top of the board.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this as I was figuring out how I could go on my Wednesday show and throw out Emilio Grillo as a winner and not have him on my betting card. And maybe what's going on this time of year. I mean, me personally, I'm not that motivated to watch a ton of golf. Maybe some of these guys, there's a little bit of fatigue after a real whirlwind schedule at the beginning of the year leading up to the Masters. That's why we saw just a lot of favorites, even at these weaker fields, still win. Maybe there is a little bit of a motivation factor coming into some of that stuff where, you know, you got the U.S. Open. Do you really want to give all your best for a Canadian Open or a John D or anything like that? So, you know, I think maybe we will see over the next couple of months or so, maybe some more long shot winners. But this week, though, I mean, I think we have the potential to see one, but like I'm talking like 75-1 or less. I'm not thinking like 150-1 like we used to see at the Memorial back in like 2013, 2014. I just think the top of the board is too talented for all that stuff. But I do think based on some of the skill sets that are valued here, where hitting more fairways can be a little more advantageous than just driving it a long ways, and good iron play, good scrambling. There are some guys down in the odds board where they're not as talented as some of the premium names, but you could see them winning. I didn't get there personally with any of those guys, but it gave me some, it gave me pause to consider a little bit, some of those names. So why not I kick it off to you first? So who's the first guy on your betting card this week for an outright?
So it's either gonna go. My betting card was going to be Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy.
Okay.
And then I saw DraftKings throw a little boost plus 250 to any golfer. You can get John Rahm at 9.5 to 1. I could get a John Rahm with a Jason Day. So I think I'm gonna go that second route. Go John Rahm 9.5 to 1. Obviously, as much as win equity as anyone in this field. We know John Rahm's history around this track. I think he's gonna come to this golf course with a little vengeance after that poor PGA Championship, plus the week off. Augusta comp, make what you want to make of it. But I mean, John Rahm's, no one's going to argue you for betting John Rahm. I think 9.5 to 1 is a fine number for him at this point in his career. So I might go that route, but that's the decision I'm going to have to make.
Okay. I mean, I guess what do you need, I guess, get pushed in that direction to go John Rahm at this point? Is there any hesitation that you have with doing it other than just the number?
It's just a matter of I'm so strict about like betting X dollars per week. So obviously, if I'm betting someone at 9.5 to 1, I have to wager more than I would at someone 15 to 1. So do I do the John Rahm, Jason Day, then I have a room for like 100 to 1 guy, or do I do the Rory, Xander, and then probably Jason Day? It's just that now I don't know. It's just a decision I'm going to have to make by the end of this show. And how much more win equity at this point does John Rahm have than Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy combined? Is it worth it? Probably.
I mean, it probably is. I think considering, I mean, I think Rahm's win equity over Xander is definitely a lot more. I mean, I know Xander won twice last year, but he just seems like he's been a bridesmaid at a lot of these golf courses. And you look at the Memorial here, no top 10 finishes, just a lot of top 20s because he's really solid in every area, but he's not really elite in any area either. So
that's what we talked about last night. Yeah.
Exactly. What I was surprised at, I'm seeing Rory at 16 to 1 at some place, and Xander's favorite over him like 12 to 1 or 14 to 1. Like that's I kind of like I was tempted to bet Rory at this point. Just because look, I mean, even though he didn't have his best stuff at the PGA, he still finished T7. The ball striking numbers looked really good on him. He's got some pretty decent finishes here, a couple top tens. I think a fifth place finish back like 10 years ago or so. Always consistently kind of in the top 20 mix here. I mean, he definitely is flying under the radar. I have not, I mean, pretty much any name that anybody's been like, a lot of names have been thrown out this week. As far as a winner, it's been kind of spread across the board. I haven't seen a whole lot of Rory McIlroy, and that could definitely be a little bit under the radar pick this week, considering maybe people are just out on him. Maybe the only hesitation is that he is a little bit of a sprayer off the tee, and that hasn't really done too well here. But it's Rory McIlroy at the fourth favorite with all that win equity. It is tempting.
That's what I was thinking too, and I like the way he rates out at this golf course, even though the results aren't really there. For him saying he didn't have his game, he still gained 2.5 strokes off the tee and 7 on approach last week. There's no reason Rory McIlroy couldn't perform at this golf course. He can perform at any golf course in the world. Is he holding himself back? Possibly, because he gets a bit mental at time. But I love Rory McIlroy at the most when he is kind of goes under the radar, and that's kind of what we're seeing. So hopefully by the end of the show, I can make that decision, but splitting between Rahm and Rory McIlroy is splitting hairs, so it's going to be tough. But I don't know. I just wanted to bounce those things off your head before I get into it. So where are you going with your first pick?
Well, so I'm not on any of those guys for outrights. I'm actually not on any of those guys other than Xander for positionals either. So I mean, I think I just like some other guys better. So I started my card with Victor Hovland, a very popular pick. I
Okay.
made this pick before I kind of found out what everybody was doing, but honestly, like it's like I just mentioned, seems like everybody's kind of throwing around the same or different picks this week. I've seen a lot of love for Xander and some Scotty and some a couple, even some a little bit of Morikawa this week too. But I'm going to start with Hovland at 22-1 that I got him at the beginning of the week. I think you still find him at 20 some places. For me, the ball striking just checks out for him. Obviously, a great long iron player. Good combination of length and accuracy off the tee. Hits a fade. That's really needed. A lot of Jack Nicklaus golf courses, they tend to be very fade biased. Hovland definitely has that. It really comes down to, do you just believe that what we saw at the PGA Championship around the green, is that going to translate over here? I think it definitely can. I mean, you see a lot of, like fast, undulated, bent grass greens. That's what we have the Memorial this week. Thick, rough around the green, tricky bunkers too. That's what we saw at Oak Hill. I feel like that Hovland, if he can do it at Oak Hill, he can definitely do it here. So it's kind of just a leap of faith at that point, that if that does show up and he just hits the ball like he has been doing, he's been putting great lately too, he should win at this place. And what's been holding him back at the Memorial for other than that Workday Championship, which was kind of a diet Memorial, was his around the green play. So if he's kind of figured that out, I think 22-1 is a pretty good number on him, considering how he's been playing. So that's where I went first.
For sure.
Yeah, I think it is, and maybe it's a little protecting because I also have a future on him to win the U.S. Open. Maybe it's kind of protecting that a little bit, but
no, I think it's a good pick, and you don't have to overcomplicate it. Bet the golfer who's playing good golf. We see Victor Hovland play really good at Oak Hill. He was there last week, besides a few holes. He's in good form. You can say fatigue, but you don't got to throw out those things. He's playing good golf. 22-1 is a fine number. Victor Hovland's going to win sooner than later. I think that's a very good pick.
Yep, definitely. It also helps too that on Data Golf, one of their top course fits was Albany, where he's won twice. So.
Where he's won twice, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, like, actually, a lot of their course fits, and I talk about this on Tap and Birdie side with Kirscher. A lot of their course fits, the Murphy Village, it's a lot of Florida golf courses where Hovland's had a lot of success. Like Innisbrook is actually their top rated course as far as similarity. Concessions number 2. He finished second there.
Love that. So, that tournament was so fun.
I actually kind of wish they would bring that back. I thought that was, I mean, the golf course is, it's probably not great to play as just amateurs. You and I would get our asses kicked, but I think just seeing professionals play it, I thought it was a lot of fun. I kind of wish that would come back. That's a Jack Nicklaus golf course too. Sawgrass is highly comped to that place. Albany, obviously. So a lot of golf courses that Hovland has done well at. He's done theirs. But I want to get back to you. So it seems like you're pretty dead set on Jason Day, either if you're going to go Rahm Day or Xander Rory Day. I guess, what do you like about Jason Day this week that makes you want to bet him outright for his second win in 3 starts?
Yeah, that Jason Day, like he's built on iron play and elite scrambling, and that's kind of what you need here as this golf course on the more forgiving side of elite golf courses off the tee. So I think Jason Day fits that mold to a T, and obviously the hometown narrative, he's from this spot. It hasn't really panned out for him at this golf course. He doesn't have the best of results, but this is arguably the best form he's been in coming into this track in a few years. Obviously, he won a few weeks ago. So will Jason Day win twice in 3 weeks? Probably not, but we've seen guys win multiple times in a season when we don't think they would win multiple times in a season, like Stewart Cink a few years back. I know they were not the same events, but Jason Day's obviously better than Stewart Cink. So guys win back-to-back when you don't think they would win back-to-backs. So I think it can happen. And I saw a 35-1 hanging around on a local. It's still there, but he's 28-30 at other spots. I think it's a decent play. He's found himself in the top of the leaderboard at elite events. And obviously the PGA Championship didn't go his way, but I don't know if you listened to Jason Day's interview before the PGA Championship. He didn't play a practice round, and he didn't see any of the golf course. He just went out there, which I guess he celebrated the Byron win too much because he was like living on a high after that week. I guess do what you want to do, Jason Day, but I thought that was very stupid to not play a practice round at that golf course. Is what it is. Hopefully he's rested and ready to play back at a golf course that he knows very well.
Yeah, definitely. I would call that to be nice, bold. I think that was
Yeah,
the term I used when I heard out. You're not going to
crazy.
play Oak Hill that's been completely renovated and is way different than what you played in 2013. Okay, boss.
I was
Probably should
shocked.
fade the shit out of you this tournament. I didn't though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah, the case for Jason Day, and we talked about a little bit this last night, is I think this golf course can play really firm and resemble what we saw in 2020, where like they let the golf course just go to complete shit because they're going to put the bulldozers into it a minute after the tournament ended. And Jason Day, like the only Memorial he's actually done well at, was the one that was essentially an up and down contest that week. I mean, Mackenzie Hughes even finished inside the top 10 that week. That's how much an up and down contest that was that week. So if that is similar to what it is this week, where look, I mean, like it is pretty forgiving off the tee. His iron numbers are pretty good, but I wouldn't call him the best iron player in this field. But if it really is just a concept of getting up and down and draining a bunch of putts, I mean, that's a contest for Jason Day right there. Yeah, I mean, that's the case for him. And 35-1, the number you got it at, considering how well he's been playing this year. Yeah, I mean, can he follow it up again with another win? We'll see. But I think that's a fine pick. So I went so I bet 4 guys total. Matt Ricard. Hovland was 22. I got Terrell Hatton at 30-1. This is the one guy on my betting card that, like, of the 4 of them, he checks the most boxes, I feel like. I mean, obviously, off the tee, he's been really good this year. He's really improved his driving accuracy, too. That's explained why he's been really good off the tee. Going back ever since the beginning of the year, the iron play has been really good. He's been good from long range as well. Good around the green, good bent grass putter. Only played here once. It was kind of a mixed performance, but I know he can do well in tough conditions. He won API a couple of years ago. That was a really firm golf course. 4th there this year. 2nd at Sawgrass this year. 6th out in Phoenix. I think he was 4th or 3rd at Quail Hollow. He rallied he could have completely checked out at Oak Hill after like an opening 75 or 76. He ended up finishing T15 that week. I think his game's in a really good place. I think considering how well he's been playing this year, I think a win is right around the corner. I like his results. I think he's due. He hasn't won in over 2 years. His last one was at the Abu Dhabi HSBC in 2021. I think just based on how well he's been playing, what I'm looking for this weekend in a profile player, Hatton was a guy for me. Do you have any thoughts on Terrell Hatton this week?
Yeah, he kind of didn't do much for me. He didn't really rate out too up for me, but and the only reason I didn't really give him a deeper look is because I saw a bunch of Hatton, and I like to be contrarian. Don't hate it. He's great on firm golf courses, difficult golf courses. Very fine play. I could have seen myself getting to Hatton if I didn't see as much Hatton as I did.
Oh, look at you being polite. Hey, do like 15, 20 more shows with me. You'll be like Capper and just say he fucking sucks. Okay.
No, I don't mind Hatton. I've bet Hatton a few times this past month, so I think it's fair.
Look, listen, when you're not on Twitter like I am, you don't see really what the rest of the market is until after you bet, and then you start snooping around. I tried doing that. So listen, if he's a popular pick, say la vie. So I picked another guy. I don't think this guy's gonna be popular though. And I definitely feel a little nervous about this guy. I bet Justin Thomas at 33-1. And look, like it's been a long time since I can say he's actually been in the mix for a win. I actually track a stat going back the last 2 years that shows when you've been within 5 of the lead heading into Sunday. I consider that in the mix and being a contender at that point. I mean, so he's got 8 of those over the last 2 years. Is one of the highest races in this field, but I think he only has like 2 since the Canadian Open last year. He hasn't really been in the mix a whole lot. It's kind of forgotten man at this point. What I like about Justin Thomas this week, though, is I feel like over the last couple weeks, I feel like he's close, and he's been saying it, I think in some of his interviews, he feels like he's close, and you can see in some of his results. Before the PGA, which I don't really know what happened that tournament. I liked him a lot, and he was terrible, but he was starting to drive the ball really well. He was gaining a lot of fairways too. That's important for this week, being able to drive it pretty accurate. The iron plays started like he was starting to come around a little bit. And what I noticed about Jason Day too is throughout his career, he's been kind of up and down with a putter, but when he starts showing a couple weeks of like gaining putting, sometimes a win kind of follows after that, especially when he's hitting the ball well. And in firm conditions, if this is going to be like an up and down contest this week, I definitely trust Justin Thomas in that, where he won a firm TPC Sawgrass a couple of years ago. He won a Southern Hills last year. That was also firm too. So I bet Justin Thomas at 33-1. I thought, listen, I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a 3 in front of Justin Thomas's name for an
That is
outright bet.
crazy.
Yeah, maybe this is a trick for him. And then in the same vein, I think this is popular, but again, this would be kind of like a little bit out of nowhere win, considering he hasn't really been in contention a whole lot lately too. Hideki Matsuyama 40-1. Obviously gained like 10 strokes tee to green at the PGA Championship, lost a bunch putting, former winner at the Memorial too. Again, I think about a lot of times when Hideki has done well at a really firm golf course, that 2020 BMW Championship, the one that John Rahm won at Olympia Fields, Hideki was right in the mix there. The first couple of rounds at Augusta National, the Masters, he won. That was really firm the first couple of days too. And again, like just premium iron player, really good around the green. And he kind of starting his like course profile fit is starting to look a little bit more like Billy Horschel's. He's actually like ever since his neck injury, he's lost a lot of power, but he's gaining a lot of fairways now. So that kind of weirdly works at this place now. So I kind of like the profile of Hideki Matsuyama at this place. So, any thought about those two guys this week?
Yeah, Hideki's definitely trending in the right direction, even though that lingering injury's there. The numbers look well. If he didn't have the injury, he'd probably bet a lot more. So as long he's such a weird golfer to bet on because sometimes you'll hear that injury report like Thursday morning. Oh, Hideki is with a trainer, or like his neck feels weird, or you just won't, and he'll play great. So I don't know. I just usually stay away from a guy like that because I don't know. Just as simply, I don't know how he's feeling. But obviously, his ceiling is as high as anyone. Obviously, I can't get to someone in that range because I like Jason Day better, and I think I'm gonna go to the top of the board. So, but he obviously is a former winner here that fits the golf course well. Great around the green. Decky should play well.
Okay. I mean, so it seems like you're probably ending your outright card like around Jason Day at that point, like sort of the odds board.
I'll have room no matter what. If I go Rom Day, I'll have room for someone like 90 plus, and I think that guy's gonna be Gary Woodland.
Okay.
At I think I saw 110 on him somewhere,
All
and
right.
it's kind of just a flop lag thing. He was mega popular at the PGA Championship, burned everyone, and he burned everyone by losing 2.3 strokes on approach. Gary Woodland does not lose 2.3 strokes on approach, and when he does lose on approach, he bounces back. He hasn't lost back-to-back weeks since the 2022 Rocket Mortgage, and he's becoming a really good approach player like he used to be in his old career. Again, this year, number 10 on tour in strokes gained approach. So I'm sure he bounces back here. He's had success on this golf course before. The around the green stuff does kind of worry me and the putting, but he doesn't have to make 25 birdie putts on this golf course. Just hit green, two putt, and make your birdies on the par fives if you can. So Gary Woodland 110-1, I think is a decent play, especially because everyone has been on him for so many weeks now, and they're starting to hop off. When that happens, I usually like to hop on.
Yeah, that would be probably pretty devastating to a lot of people who've been betting Gary Woodland a lot, and then to be finally off him, and then he goes off and win. Yeah, I think just kind of looking at this odds board here, like that's a good call at about 100-1. I think like once you start getting towards Siwoo, Adam Scott, Russell Henley territory on the odds board, that's probably the floor at that point, as far
Right.
as I think who is going to likely win. So if you're going past that, like if you're trying to throw bombs on like Patrick Rogers or like Hayden Buckley or Steven Yeager or Alex Smalley, I mean, just probably bet him positional at that point. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like Gary Woodland definitely has the ball striking chops to win here, has the pedigree too. Guys who have been kind of longer shots to win, they've tended to be more veterans who have a little bit of win equity with them. I mean, Emiliano Grillo is one example. So Gary Woodland would definitely fit that criteria there too.
I just don't get like why Gary Woodland's priced next to Matt Kuchar and Adam Hadwin. Like, he seems like he's an outlier in that 100-1 range. So it seems like a misprice to me. I'll hop on when people hop off. I think I'm gonna go that route now that we talked the Rom route.
Okay. All right. I'm glad we could talk that of it or talk you into that. And then our producer in the chat here, he asked, would you guys single bullet Scotty this week? It seems like if you're going to single bullet, it'd be Rom would be your pick.
Yeah, I mean, Rom and Scotty are the same. If that I said I'm betting this Rom because if I'm able to get a 9.5-1 with that boost, that's the only reason I'm doing it. And if Scotty was the other way around, if I was able to get that 9.5 on Scotty, I would do the same with Scotty. They're the same for me basically, and I could definitely single bullet Scotty. The only reason I would push back is if you bet Scotty with like 4 more guys. I get so mad when people do that because it just doesn't make sense when you're betting an 8-1 with 2 other guys, 14-1. Like, it's not a betting card. You're just doing it the wrong way.
No,
So
it would be
that pisses me off.
Yeah, if it would be if you're adding people to your card, it would be Scotty and like Woodland and like guys over 100.
Exactly.
Where it's like
Exactly.
it's chump change to like just do that. But yeah, like I think of the two, I mean, I think I just prefer Scotty just because of just what he's been doing. And like what he is as a player now is like the recipe to do well at this place where a lead iron player, a lead around the green. You've seen guys who have struggled at this place can putt well here. It probably is Scotty for me, but I just chose to pick 4 other losers down the card and to give me a little bit more of a sweat. So, all right. Well, that's our outrights. Glad you can come to a decision with that. Let's take another quick ad break, and then we'll start going over some matchups and positionals and all that other stuff. And before we do that, let's talk about our NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Final contest. We got 2 more free contests for you guys for both the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals. So you can only enter exclusively on the SGPN app. It's got, you can bet your series props and game props. And if you do that all correctly, you get a $100 SGPN gift card for each contest. So download the SGPN app and enter today. All right. Before we get to positionals, why don't we get into some matchups? I have a notoriously terrible track record with matchups. So usually these ones are actually not ones I bet, but I tend to find some ones I like. And if you actually fade these, then you usually do pretty well for yourself. But I always come with pretty good logic behind a lot of mine. So at least the argument sounds good until it just blows up my face. So why don't I start with you first? What's the first matchup you like this week?
Yeah, John Rahm plus 105 versus Patrick Cantlay. Truthfully, why is you're giving me John Rahm versus even money versus anyone that's not named Scotty Scheffler? I'll take it, and I don't even have to have a good reason for it. If John Rahm loses as an underdog to Patrick Cantlay, fine. We know Patrick Cantlay's track record on this golf course, but if there's anyone who can compare to it, it's John Rahm. Why is he an underdog? He's higher in the betting, lower in the betting odds, and I just don't get the line. So plus 105, John Rahm.
Yeah, that seems like a big overreaction, I think, to one bad performance from Rahm at the PGA Championship. And Cantlay, where, listen, he finished, top 10 that week, but he was, I saw it firsthand. He was pretty bad for 3 rounds, and only just when the weather got good, he backdoored a top 10. So, yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. I definitely would probably just blindly take Rahm. Plus, it's similar to the first matchup I looked at that popped up. So I found Rory McIlroy plus 110 against Xander Schauffele. And look, like, again, some of the same arguments there where Xander is in really good form. Everything checks the boxes, but it's Rory McIlroy, and objectively, Rory McIlroy is a better golfer than Xander Schauffele. I know my co-host sitting on the couch right now, maybe listen to this, would disagree, but it's true that Xander is a better golfer than Xander Schauffele over the course of his career. And Rory has had a really good track record at Muirfield Village too, actually better than Xander Schauffele has been. Xander's never finished inside the top 10 here. Rory's done it at least 3 or 4 times. So I'll just blindly take Rory McIlroy plus 110 over Xander at that price. I like Xander this week. He's going to show up my betting card some other place, but for matchup goes, I think just getting plus money on him is the way to go. So, all right, what's the second matchup you like on your card this week?
Tom Kim minus 125 versus Sahith Theegala.
Okay.
I don't love Sahith Theegala when wild drives really penalize you, and that can happen on this golf course. Tom Kim has been awesome tee to green. He's kind of struggled on the putting green, but like I said, you don't have to make 25 birdies on this golf course. A little bit of rough putting you can get away with. So we know Tom Kim's going to be playing out of the fairway and hitting more greens than Sahith. So you can get in trouble around this golf course quick. So that's basically when we're going to go minus 120 versus Sahith Theegala, Tom Kim.
Yeah, and based on what you talked about last night, Tom Kim is essentially Colin Morikawa. So
it's the same player.
Yes, same player. I ran that by Brian Kershaw. He wasn't quite sold, but I definitely
Did you sell it? Did you sell it to him?
I don't think I sold it to him, but I definitely feel what you're saying. If you dive into the stats over the last like 5-6 starts, Kyle Morikawa has been Tom Kim. You heard it here first from my astute co-host here. So I went for my second matchup. I went Hideki Matsuyama -105 over Jordan Spieth. I mean, obviously last week Jordan Spieth looked really lost at Colonial Place. He should do really well at. Like I thought last week, considering he gained so many strokes ball striking at the PGA, that was just translated Colonial. I guess the wrist injury is fine. Turns out it isn't. I didn't really like the quotes that I heard from Jordan Spieth before the tournament, where he said this is kind of going to be a week to week thing. It's also an injury that he could potentially make worse. And you kind of look at his profile for here, like he sprays it off the tee, not very accurate. He's been struggling a little bit around the green too lately. So I'll just take a guy, Hideki Matsuyama, who I like a lot for this week. That I feel like is a little more consistent tee to green, what Spieth is, especially with the wrist injury. And I'll take him as a slight underdog over Jordan Spieth. So, all right, what's your third matchup on your card this week?
It's going to be a Shane Lowry over Sam Burns. Shane Lowry is coming off of an awesome week, tee to green at the PGA Championship. Well, Sam Burns, another good finish at a Sam Burns golf course, but he did that all around the green. You think he finished sixth last week at Colonial, but he gained like 5+ shots around the green, and that's not really a recipe for success. The last time we saw Sam Burns on a difficult golf course, what did he do at Oak Hill? He shot like a million over par. So I'm going to just go with Shane Lowry, who's had some success at this golf course. He finished in the top 10, I believe, last year, or top 15, something like that. And he's got 2 straight made cuts, 30th the year before that. So Shane Lowry over Sam Burns.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, one of the reasons I really like Sam Burns as this type of golf course is the guys who really spray it all over the place get in trouble a lot here, and that's Sam Burns, unfortunately. So, even though on Data Golf, Innisbrook is the number one comp course, this place, that one is I think a little more forgiving as far as the driver
Agreed.
goes, where here, like, there's a lot of penalty areas that you won't be able to get away with it. My third matchup is actually fading another sprayer. I'm going to take Siwoo Kim -110 over Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark does not have a very good track record here. 2 cuts and a T37 finish. Siwoo's been really good here. 3 straight top 20 finishes. And just Wyndham Clark, like, again, like, I know the ball striking numbers have been really good for him, but sprayer off the tee, I just don't really like that combination here. This golf course, we kind of saw it similar to Sam Burns at Oak Hill, where you couldn't really get away with that too often. Wyndham Clark didn't do all that good. In fact, he actually missed the cut at the PGA and lost a lot of strokes off the tee. I expect the same thing to happen to Wyndham Clark again this week. So I'll take Siwoo Kim -110 over Wyndham Clark. So, all right.
I like that.
There you go. Let's move on to positionals. So before we get into it, so I'm assuming, like, knowing you back up all your outrights with top 5 bets, right?
Yep, every week.
You do that again. Can you explain to kind of the audience why you like doing that?
Yeah, so when I started betting golf, I just had that realization that we all have. Like, damn, I feel like I always have so many runner-ups, and everyone says it, like, oh, another runner-up, third place finisher. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if I started betting all my guys top 5 and tracked it. I went back and tracked it. The math checked out. I was like, I think I'd be up doing this. I did it, and I've been doing it for the last 2 seasons, and it's been awesome. I'm way up in top 5s. So I think, honestly, if you did it, or if you're just a golf bettor and you have that same problem, like, damn, I always feel like I'm getting so close, because it's so hard to hit an outright winner in golf betting. Like, you only need to hit X amount of winners a year to profit. But if you do this on a weekly basis, you know that, damn, I'm so close every damn week. I've just got to get one. So I started betting all my guys top 5, and usually you can get the top 5 numbers about a fifth of the outright odds if you get it on a good book. If you're on a local, sometimes they pay in full too. So I think it's a great way to bet golf. Just back up all your outrights with top 5, and you can get some, even those long shots. They sometimes will have a backdoor top 5. Like, I've hit plenty of 20 to 30 to 1 top 5s, just like in like those Puerto Rico Opens and stuff like that. And sometimes my biggest gambling weeks, I don't even hit an outright. I'll hit like 2 to 3 top 5s, and it'll just pay super heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, the odds on some of those top 5s are pretty good. I know that when Data Golf used to reveal their betting cards, they did a lot of top 5s, and You only really needed 1 or 2 of those to cash, where we could, you'd be up a lot. I'm a little more conservative with my betting card. I tend to mostly hang around more the top 20, top 40 market. I've been burned too many times by trying to really, do that stuff. But listen, you're young. You're looking for the thrill, and obviously it works for you. So, and then that's the thing. Like, there isn't one way to bet on golf. Stick to a system that you're really comfortable with. And you be successful. Definitely a lot of ways to skin a cat. So other than, all right, so you're going to go Rahm, Day, Woodland top 5 then. If those are guys you're going to bet outright this week. Do you have any other positionals on your card?
I don't, but I can give you a look that I think is a good play. I think Cam Young, T10 at plus 330 has some real value on it. He was one of the first round leader. I don't know if he was solo first round leader, but he was one of them last year. Mm-hmm. And then obviously he was fine over the first 2 days and then shot Sam Burns at Sam Burns at Oak Hill on Sunday. He shot like an 85 on Sunday and just blew himself up, blew his positionals up, everything like that. So I think he is a decent play to finish in the top 10. We know how talented his game is, and his numbers are slightly falling, and they're falling quick. I know it's not a peak Cam Young, but you wouldn't get him at a good price if he was at a peak form. So buy the dip, Cam Young, top 10 plus 330.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that last time with the DFS show, that his ownership is really low. And listen, Cam Young is a super talented player. And, I can recall a bunch of times you said one last night about how everyone was kind of out on him for the Open Championship, where, bomber, that doesn't really fit the narrative, and he almost won the thing. I know that people are out on him for the Heritage last year, and he finished top 3 there. Cause again, you would think that would restrict him. Obviously, the first 2 rounds here last year, he did really good, just fell apart on Sunday. I remember earlier this year where people were out on him going into Bay Hill, and he just ended up playing really well, really low ownership. So, I think this definitely is a spot to maybe buy low on Cam Young, especially with some of the odds there. It didn't make it on my card this week. I kind of focused more about like my cookie card template guys. But, I definitely like that play too. If I had a little bit more balls, I think I'd put it on the card. So
who are you going with?
All right. So there's only one top 10, and this is more kind of a gut call. Just as I started thinking about it, I looked more into what happened last week. So let's talk about Colin Morikawa. I know I talked negatively about him last night, but so he started the tournament plus 5 and ended even. So he was 5 under through his last 63 holes, and he was 7 over on hole number 9 alone. So if he just didn't screw that hole up, he's second in that tournament. And when you look at it that way, I know that sometimes that's cherry picking, if you take away everybody's bad holes, but that's strange to me that one particular hole he was 7 over, and the rest of the holes in the golf course he was 7 under on. And now he's coming back to Murfield Village. I also think this is just put up or shut up time for him, where he has not played well for a while. He's got the US Open coming up. He's got to start getting some positive momentum going for him. And I think this might be a get right spot for him. So I found a top 10 on him plus 250, considering how good he is. This golf course is not dead heat either. So this is maybe a little bit of FOMO, but Morikawa top 10 plus 250. I think we're going to get a good showing out of him this week. And then I spent a lot of my card on top 20s like I usually do. We'll start with Ricky Fowler, top 20 plus 150. 9 of his last 11 starts have been inside the top 20. That's all he's been really doing. So why not get something at plus money for a guy that's all he's been doing? And if he wins this week, say la vie. I think he's a popular outright. I'll at least have some skin in the game on him. I like what he brings to the table at this place too. Iron play has been really good around the green. The good drive percentage stat on him is really ugly, but I think most of that's kind of last year data. He's actually been hitting more fairways this year, showed a little bit better control of the tee. So, and he's got some decent performance here. So plus 150 for top 20 for Ricky Fowler. I also went top 20 on Matthew Fitzpatrick at plus 165. I thought that was a good price considering the type of player he is. Doesn't seem like he's getting a whole lot of steam. And again, we talked a lot about where if you like Jason Day this week, if this is going to be kind of a firm up and down contest with really, tough scoring conditions, Matthew Fitzpatrick definitely fits the bill too. He gets up and down really well. He's really good with his long irons, good bent grass putter too. I guess what concerns me about him, where I don't really want to bet a little more on Fitzpatrick and be a little more aggressive, is his driving accuracy definitely seems like it's gone away a little bit. So I can see that being a problem for him. But I mean, if he is clubbing down a little bit more at this turn because it is going to be firmer fairways and it's more positional at this place. Considering how well he is getting up and down, I think he finished third at that 2020 Memorial too. I think a top 20 on him for Matthew Fitzpatrick is very reasonable, plus 165. I also bet top 20 on Russell Henley, plus 180. Kind of fits the template of what I'm looking for as far as like a Billy Horschel type. He almost fits that mold to a T, where short off the tee, but pretty accurate, good around the green. The iron has been really good. He's had a couple good finishes here. He's coming in decent form as well. So I'll take a top 20 him plus 180. And then Siwoo Kim top 20 plus 190. 3 straight top 20 finishes here. The ball striking number has been really good on him. Really accurate off the tee too. Pretty good on some of these southeastern Florida golf courses. That's been a lot of comp to this places as far as guys doing well there and done well here. So those are the top 20s. I also found, so I could bet top 20 on Adam Scott at plus 250. I have found a top 30 at plus 140 though. So I'll get 10 extra places on him at plus 140. Be a little conservative. I took that too. I just really like Adam Scott. I think his iron play has really done very well this week or the last couple of tournaments. Really good at this place. Kind of good on some of these positional tracks as well. So I'll take him. And then some top 40 plays. Ben on top 40 plus 125, coming in decent form. Good course history here too. Alex Smalley has been on fire tee to green lately, top 40 plus 160. Kevin Streelman off a good performance at Colonial, has some good history at Murfield Village. This kind of fits his game as far as, accuracy in the fairway matters, pretty good around the green, decent iron play. That fits him. I can get 2-1 on top 40 for him. And then lastly, because I've been kind of slumping a little bit and I just need to see some balls go in the hoop a little bit. So you can parlay top 20s. And this is always kind of a dangerous recipe.
Where? FanDuel?
But on FanDuel. So look, Scheffler is going to finish inside the top 20, right? Just he is. So yeah, and so will Rahm. You could do that as an option too. So I picked Scheffler because I just feel like it's going to happen. So I just feel like I should have some sort of Patrick Cantlay or Xander on my card somewhere because their floors are so high. So you can parlay Scheffler and Cantlay together for a top 20 plus 105. Basically, if you just think Scheffler's going to finish inside the top 20, Cantlay's top 20 price is way better than the juice you would pay. And you can also parlay Scheffler and Xander together for a top 20 plus 130. So those are the two biggest bets of the week on my card. I just feel like I just need to get some wins because I've been slumping a little bit. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of momentum heading into a pretty crucial part of the year with the U.S. Open coming up. And I'd like to start getting back to where I was at the beginning of the year, just making a lot of money every single week and, bring out of this slump. So you got any other bets that you made this week?
No, I'll throw out one prop. I think Scotty Scheffler's 16-1 first round leader is a decent look just because of coming off of that Colonial where he was one stroke out of the playoff. He missed like 7 5-foot putts. He's really good in round ones. He actually leads the tour in round one scoring, which is a picky stat. Make what you want to make out of that. But has great success here. Gained 3.5 strokes putting on this golf course last year. So I think it's a bit of like, let's fucking go after what he did on Colonial last week because he should have won that golf tournament and he knows it. So I think he's going to come out hot. 16-1, decent price on a 6-1 golfer. I wouldn't say it's a make or break play, but just throw a little coin on it if you want some Thursday sweat.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if the outright number is too short on him, go 16-1. He gets out to a good start. Even if it's dead heated, with another guy, it's about the outright price anyway. So yeah, there you go. So all right, well that's our betting cards for this week. Matt, you got any parting words before we get you out of here?
No, I think that's it. Good 2 days of potting, and we'll have one more show. I'll have one more show tomorrow night. I'm not sure if you have another one. You might have another one tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll have after this. I'm going to do my one and done video, and then I'll do a final thoughts video where I just kind of wipe the slate clean and give out what I would do with my betting card if I hadn't bet anything by Wednesday night. And hey, look, I mean that would have got the winner last week, so maybe I can do it 2 weeks in a row.
Well, Golf Gambling Podcast has as much content as anyone in the entire world. We're doing so much. I got narratives tomorrow. Steve's been crushing it. Capper's been crushing it while he's here. He'll be back sooner than later. And Cam's in the back doing a lot of hard work. So we're doing good stuff over here. Appreciate you guys for watching and definitely excited for the weeks coming up.
Yeah, Cam is definitely the hardest working producer we have on the network for sure. So with that, Matt, thank you for joining me this week. We'll probably have you again on next week. I can't imagine Capper's going to be ready, and we'll break down the RBC Canadian Open, a mystery golf course again. Maybe I'll do what I did with Oak Hill and do another hour and 40 minutes on every.
You might have to, yeah.
I've been scouting it out a little bit, just high level. It looks really similar to the ones we've saw the last couple of years, St. George's and Hamilton. So
Rory
not a ton of Rory's in the field, probably 3-time winner. Not a ton of difference. There's a lot of elevation changes though. I'll go over it, but yeah, it looks very similar to what we saw. Nice golf course though. So
excited.
We'll see what happens, and then maybe we'll do another hour video where I give out the winner at the end and then not bet it, because that's just what I do.
Classic.
There you go. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us this week. Enjoy the Memorial. Good luck with your bets, and we'll see you for the Canadian Open next week.